Okay, I'm back. The grill is currently at 250, and I still haven't put the ribs on. Matter of fact, it was only a couple of seconds since I posted the last video to this video. I've decided to use the cast iron grate for this. I have two grates for the big green egg. I have a stainless steel that has a little bit of a wider rack. That doesn't sound right, but we'll go with rack. It's the round part of the grill of what the meat goes on. The reason I'm not using that is because the ribs can fall straight through if I let it. So we're going to use the cast iron grate where they're more closed. They're also not going to get as much of a smoky flavor because I don't want to overpower the beef ribs with that. One thing I will say is you can add beef stock, which I may do to the pan. What that's going to do is that's going to produce moisture that's going to keep the airflow around my ribs moist so that they're not drying out. You can also use water. When you first initially put the meat on, don't add any liquid. Just let the meat go for at least a half an hour. Then you can start slowly adding moisture to it to keep your air just a little bit moist. Now keep in mind this will slow your cooking process down by a little bit. And hopefully my grill will stabilize fairly quickly. It was at 250, but it's holding at 250 right now. So I may make an adjustment to the top and let a little bit more air flow in. Again, these should only take 2 to 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. Let me consult my book. Yeah, 2.5 to 3 hours. It's only one giant slab of ribs. And beef ribs, if you buy the entire slab, they can easily feed 4 to 6 people, depending on how many ribs people want. These didn't have a lot of meat on, and beef ribs have a tendency not to have a lot of meat. And the reason being is the meat that sits on top of the ribs. So if you're looking at a cow on its side view and you're looking at the rib section, which would be where I'm pointing on my person, on cows, they have a lot of meat on top. And that's where you're going to get your chuck roast, your pot roast, your prime rib roast, your ribeye steaks, your sirloin steaks. Although sirloin, I think, is further back on the cow. But a cow has a very long rib cage compared to a human body. My body is just used as the principal. Obviously, I'm not a four-legged animal, so it's harder to do. But beef ribs, a lot of times when you buy beef ribs, there won't be a ton of meat on them. Just because people want to buy the roasts, the chucks, and stuff like that. This is what they call leftover. These were actually on a really good sale at Costco. For some reason, when people buy beef ribs, you're going to pay a lot of money for beef ribs because they're beef. And I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Unless you have the money to blow and you love beef ribs, try to get them on a good sale, because what you're paying for when you see beef ribs at the butcher or at the supermarket, why they're so expensive, you're paying for the weight of the bone itself. And that's going to weigh in. These ribs actually weighed in at almost 6 pounds. That's mostly the bone weight. There may be about 2, maybe 3 pounds of meat on them, but you're basically paying the bone weight, and that's a waste. Like I said, I bought these at Costco, and they were on a really good sale around the holidays, so I stocked up my freezer and bought 2 slabs. And actually, since I have the package in my garbage, we're going to just see. These weighed in, yeah, at 6 pounds. And like I said, most of that weight is the bone weight. And pork ribs are always going to be more expensive than or let me start that one over. Let me wash my hands first and then I'll explain. Pork ribs are always going to be cheaper than beef ribs. Beef ribs are always going to be more expensive because they're beef. And beef is a big industry in the United States. It might be, if you're watching from other countries, might be a big commodity overseas, but beef prices here in the U.S. are very, very expensive right now. You might wonder, you know, with the variety of meats that I'm working with, how do we afford it? Well, we're lucky that we have a fairly good income, but I don't necessarily buy my meat when it's high price. Like right now, ribeye steaks are almost $18.99 a pound. What I do is I wait for the sales. I'll go to my favorite supermarket or I'll go to the butcher shop, and if they happen to be on sale, I'll snag 4 or 6 steaks because we buy them by the twos since there are 2 of us. But I shop the sales. I don't try to buy retail, especially it's true with the lamb chops. You'll notice as I do videos throughout the year, I'm going to do a lot of lamb. My husband and I love lamb chops. Right now, lamb chops are almost $21.99 a pound. And when you weigh that with 6 lamb chops, you're looking at possibly over $30 for the lamb chops. So I wait for them to go on a really good sale. Usually I try to get them when they're $6.99. If I can snag them at $5.99 a pound, I'll buy 54 lamb chops at once. My dogs are barking again. We're going to get them out. I'm going to see what the grill is, and we're going to see if we can put these on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Dogs wanted to go out. The grill is almost at 300. It's at 275 right now. I'm going to just give it. I'm not in a rush today, although it is Sunday. We have the playoff games tonight. We will be talking. I posted Saturday, so you're not seeing this on Monday. This is the week of the 20th. The Sunday, I think it's the 21st. It might be the 22nd. So you're probably seeing this the following week. But last Saturday, I posted the prime rib video. And I did post a little clip of what we're going to be talking about in cooking coming up. But we are getting into the playoffs. There are 2 games that are being played today in the NFL. In 2 weeks, well, actually in 3 weeks' time. Yeah, 3 weeks from today's Super Bowl. So, probably next week, after the 1st, sometime around the 1st week of February, I'm going to start talking about Super Bowl things. Ribs would be an awesome thing to serve for the Super Bowl. They don't have to be beef ribs. You could do pork ribs, and you can do ribs, like I said. Pork ribs can be made in the oven. They can be made on the grill. I find they're better made on the grill. I do them in the oven once in a while if I want something different. But we love them on the grill. They're really juicy and tender. And my grill just hit 300 degrees. I'm going to let it stay there for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to put the ribs on. One other thing you can do with the ribs. I'm not going to do that in this video because I don't, unfortunately, have the bottle. I used to have a bottle. When I do a brisket, and we're going to talk brisket this summer. I'm not going to do a brisket until it warms up, because that, I've talked about briskets maybe a little bit in the video. That's an incredibly long cook. That's a 16+ hour cook. Especially my briskets are full briskets, and we'll talk briskets and what you can make out of them, how to cook them and stuff. They're big. They're over 16-pound briskets, but we'll talk about that later. So the grill is getting stabilized. The dogs are finally quiet. They came in. Ice is eating out of the little little ones thing. So let's go put these on the grill. I'm going to pause or stop the video. I'm going to pick it right back up in a minute.